I went and got me a cheap Mexican phone. So I have a phone after 6 weeks. So kind of strange. I like not having a phone. Let's see here. Well, there sure is a lot going on. A lot of people got opinions, and I don't know if they're aware of their of their own polarization. It's interesting. Although I have to say, it looks like there's more people that are tuning out too, in a good way. Okay, Bliss Diggins, where are you? There you are. Okay, boom. Let's see what we're looking like here. Looks like we had some interest. Got 3 here so far. Let's give them a little bit more time. I'll share this out through the network. Group. So it's been a week. Last time we got together was the 10th. Oh yeah, that was a big day. Big day. All right, this is okay. All right. Okay, here we go. We have a few people in the house. Welcome, everybody. This is our weekly show. And I had to apologize. I'm a little bit rusty because I just woke up from a nap. Worked for 5 hours and then took a nap and set my alarm and didn't go off. I got up 10 minutes before the show started. So welcome, everybody. Okay, here they come. They're starting to roll in now. We're back here with our brother Bliss to discuss his book and whatever else comes up. This is our second week with this particular series. We had done a couple of shows beforehand. People are just starting to get wind of it, and I would just advise everybody to, I know it's not easy to see, but to take a look at the text on the heading on these shows that are promoting, or the posts that are promoting the show. And Bliss has some comments in there, and primarily, initially, it's involving obtaining the book. You can get the PDF immediately. And again, we'll put those posts up. They're in the announcement. We'll put them up in the comments. I'll put them up during the show as well on YouTube and Facebook. And also that you can order the book by emailing him directly and giving him your full address, very important, so that he can figure out the postage, because there's people, that are actually reaching out to him from all over the world. So this is a free offering to each person, but he and the universe are burdened with, not burdened, but blessed with the postage. So it's not a free gratis type of thing. So let him know what your address is. If you want to get a copy of the PDF, it's free. It takes no time at all. Just plug in the link and there you go. And then to read specifically the intro and chapter 5, to kind of just become abreast of what the subject is and what's going on with it. But yeah. So welcome back, brother. It's good to see you. It's good to have you back in here. Anxious to see what you want to jump into this week, and start dissecting this book a little bit more. But yeah, it's been a very, very powerful week since we were last together. I know for myself, and probably for a lot of people, as I can detect and tell from what I do, I don't know how it's been going for you. I have seen some talk about 3-Eye Atlas. Some more people, I came across 3 or 4 different shows or commentaries, predictions, prophecies, people talking about that it wasn't a ship, that it was, what did they say it was? That it was I guess it's correct. It was some kind of consciousness, and somebody else was talking about it was leaving, won't be back. I don't know about that, because last time I saw it a week ago, it had come to some kind of unexpected braking and stop as it arrived to Jupiter, like it was going to load some stuff up or slingshot back to us. I don't know. But anyway, it's good to have you back, and anxious to see what's going on.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for having me and for hosting this. It's such an honor for me to have this opportunity to. What I'm doing here is fulfilling my mission. This is why I am here on the planet, is to write this book and to get this out to the population, to as many people that are ready, that are awakening. Because it really has to be someone who is awakening. Otherwise, they have absolutely no interest in it, and it just goes right over their head. But the people on your program are here for a reason, and it's a transformational process that's happening. Oh, I wanted to welcome all of you that are here as well, and I just want to let you know this is a transformational process that's happening in your life, and it goes beyond the comprehension of your ego. It's the true purpose of your soul is within your grasp now. This is your purpose too. You're here for a purpose. This is not random or by chance that you're here. This is your divine destiny, that you're here to get on your path and to get focused and to do what you need to do to fulfill your mission. And it's a very high vibrational approach, and only joyful outcomes are possible. So when people ask me questions, well, what about if this happens? What about this happens? I just tell them, I say, do not worry. I said, yes, things will happen that might slow things down a little bit, but I don't even believe that happens, but it slows the ego down. Anything that happens that's negative that you're reacting to, that's your ego. Your heart doesn't react to things like that. Your heart might notice them and take them in and then make adjustments, but it does not react with negativity or fear. The heart does not know fear. It only knows love and connection and heart resonance. So it's so important to just relax, enjoy, and trust, and let it arrive and embrace you. Let these cosmic forces want connection with you. They want a loving individual connection with each person on the planet. And they know exactly what you need. They know exactly who you are, and they know exactly what you need in order to open to them. And they will give you what you need. They will put you in situations. They will inspire you to do whatever it is that they want you, that they sense that you need to do in order to fulfill your mission. And they want to do everything they can to make that happen. That's their purpose. So this is about grasping the quantum realm, the fifth dimension, the our interdimensional heart, and from the interdimensional heart, that goes out, and that's what allows us to connect with these beings. And it's our DNA. Our DNA have antennas that send and receive messages, impulses, energies, and a lot of the energy exchange is through our emotions. That's why it's so important to be tuned into our emotions and to not be reacting. Many people still have emotional trauma that they're dealing with. Many of you still have emotional trauma that you're dealing with. I mean, I still have trauma that comes up every once in a while, but I've been healing my trauma for decades to get to this point. But it's so important to do emotional healing whatever that looks like for you. And you can ask your higher self, you can ask blue star consciousness, you can ask tree spirits, you can ask any of these interdimensional beings to help you to what you need to do in order to heal your trauma, because your ego doesn't know. Again, our egos are so ignorant. All they know is how to survive, and they're really good at it, and it's so important to appreciate them. But they don't know anything about where we're going. Doesn't know anything. Your ego doesn't know anything about this book or about connecting with cosmic forces. And yet it's so important that it step back and get out of the way, because the ego wants to control things. The ego wants to be in control because it thinks it knows, what to do, but it doesn't. It's like whenever we have something stressful that comes up in our life, the ego starts trying to figure out, okay, if I do this, then I'll get this money, or if I do this, maybe this will happen. If I do this, and see, that's the ego, and it doesn't know anything. It goes all over the place and drives us crazy. We just get in this mental spin, and it just makes us more anxious. It doesn't help us. We don't figure anything out. But you see, when you turn it over to your higher self and you say, higher self, I don't know what to do here. I need your help. Please take over this situation. And when you do that, you're connecting with your heart, and your heart's involved. And then from that place, then you can receive messages from your higher self or from tree spirits or whoever your guides are. And that's so important, is to figure out who your guides are, who are guiding you. And there's lots of beings around you. It could be ancestors. It could be it's your higher self is one of the main culprits. Tree, if you have trees that you connect with, trees are so powerful in how they respond to us, how they know so much about us. They know so much about you individually, that they know your past, they know your future, they know what you need in your current life in order to raise your vibration and in order to move into this quantum realm. So you'll find in the book, there's even a chapter on tree spirits. You'll find there's 2 chapters actually. And at some point, go into those chapters and read what my experience was with the tree spirits. And I also give lots of suggestions about what you can do in order to connect with the tree spirits. You don't even have to have a physical tree. You can just have a picture or an image or a memory. That tree will come to you. It's not confined by time and space. I had an experience a while ago. I was in Sedona, and I was at a conference. This is a strange experience. I was at this conference by this man. I won't even say who his name was, because it's not very complimentary. But he was doing this 4-day conference, and this man was really brilliant and so connected, but he was only connected to his masculine energy. That was it. It was his masculine energy, and he was really good at it. And like, he had no flowers on the altar. He had just a plain stage. There was no feminine energy even in his presentation. And I was camped out in a campground about 20 miles away, and I was underneath these trees. I don't even know what type of tree they were. And the last night I was there, these tree spirits in the middle of the night came to me, and they said, I'll just call him Ben. That's not his name. I'll just call him that. They said, we want you to go to Ben tomorrow, the last day of the conference. I mean, they knew why this was why I was there at the conference, because I oftentimes get asked to do this. We want you to go to him directly and tell him that we absolutely love him. I mean, we have this amazing, he helps so many people. However, he is so disconnected from feminine energy, and he has no balance. And if he doesn't change that, he's going to suffer consequences for that. And the people who follow him will suffer consequences, just natural consequences. And I said, come on, there's like 300 people in this conference, and I'm supposed to stand up in the middle of it and tell him what he's doing wrong. I said, come on, you got to have a better way than that. Look, but they said, just go to the conference tomorrow and get message to him about this. So I said, okay. And they said, stress how much we love him, that they really, I mean, they had this adoration for him because he was a great teacher. He was a great spiritual teacher. And so I said, okay. So I did. So I went to the conference and I got there a little bit early and the doors were locked. So I'm sitting outside waiting to get in. And this guy sits next to me and I started talking to him. I said, oh, you here for the conference? He said, oh, no. He said, I'm the director of the conference. I'm Ben's lead man. I said, oh, really? I said, oh, that's synchronistic. I said, I have something to tell you, and I want you to tell him. And he said, well, what is it? And I told him exactly what these beings said. And I said, look, they told me to make sure I tell him, but I'm telling you. And now it's your responsibility to tell him. I can't go any further than this. And he just kind of looked at me and he got up and he went inside. And I don't know whether he told him or not, but I don't think he did, because I know a couple of years later, Ben, he had a lawsuit against him by these women who were following him. And somehow he did something to them that they were suing him. So, so I think that was what the damage was going to be to him, was that he was going to cause damage to himself. And you see, again, these tree spirits, they knew who I was. They called me to this, they inspired me to come to this conference. And they told me that and they knew that I could hear their message and that I could communicate that to Ben. And they knew all that was possible. How did they know that? You know, it's like they're so brilliant. They're not limited by time and space. And so recently I've been reconnected. The other night I had a hard time getting back to sleep. I woke up. And so sometimes I go to tree spirits to get myself back to sleep. And I called on them, and they were so grateful that I called on them, because it had been a couple of years since I had actually reached out to them. And they were like right there. They were right there and so grateful that I was reaching out, and that I was going to involve them more. You know, I have so many trees here on my land that I kind of gets distracted with all the different trees. But I told them that I want to bring them in. They're really powerful tree spirits. And you'll find that in a forest or around your house. There are certain trees that are really strong, like Douglas fir tree spirits are really strong in sovereignty. They really help with us stand in our sovereignty. And cedar trees are really strong in love, feminine love. Oh, they're just so powerful in promoting that. So, anything you want to say about that, Todd? I just always love your.
I think I know who you're talking about. But I mean, no. Okay, there's a couple of things that you bring up here. Okay, that I think, you know, with the work that I've done over the years, there's just, this isn't the first time I've been in this situation where somebody has legitimately connected with the universal family and brought in a distinct message for this transition that we call ascension. And so there's there's a certain perspective that they have that's unique to themselves, and then they bring the message out, and my job, I feel, is to kind of bridge one to the other. In other words, I know that none of us are going to get it perfectly, but we can move to the direction of the originator, the initiator, like you. So I find that the human machinations, kind of going back to them and bringing them back into the fold, into the topic and the environment, the band of frequencies that you represent, it allows us to kind of bridge it. So the first thing is that in terms of when you had said earlier, which is very, very true, if you talk to practitioners or folks like yourself, or even people that I run into, I occasionally do sessions when I move to. They want to know what's going on. They want to know what's happening. They want to know what's gonna happen. It's like we have this this commonality of, yes, we're in a process of ascending, we're transitioning. We can agree on that. However, I need to know what's going to happen with me, what's going to happen with the world. Why? How does this work? These things that are rooted, for better or for worse, in the ego identity. And this is, I find, to be a really big challenge that is beginning to dissipate. So if you talk to practitioners, for instance, and somebody comes in the door, they want to open up the discussion by telling their story, whatever that particular story is. Like, so-and-so passed away, I would like to talk to them. This is what happened to me in my life, and I'm trying to deal with it. This is my situation with my relationship, or whatever the case is. Another example I would give is that, I've been doing this a long time, 6,000 plus video productions, and I study a lot of other people's. And if you have somebody who's pulling cards on a video, they're going to have 200 people watching that video live because they want answers. They want immediate answers. And again, this is a type of externalization in a different context rather than in a situation where somebody is offering freely what they have received as a directive from the universal family, right? So I can understand that. Another example I would give is Joe Dispenza talks about when he does a session, the minute somebody starts talking about their story, he cuts them off and says, we're not going to do that. Because he understands that it's keeping them affixed in the past, so to speak. They're not present because they're still stuck somewhere back there, whatever the case is. So I think that's something that everybody can be open about in the audience, including myself. We all go through this, but it is a part of us that we're having to let go. Now, insofar as the gentleman at the Sedona conference, I started covering conferences back originally in Sedona back in like 2018. And I would go to the conferences and get in free because I was going to interview people. That was kind of my hook. And so what I found was very interesting. The first 4 or 5 that I covered in 2018 were very masculine dominated. Now, it was a different scenario back then. We're talking 2018. A lot's happened since then. But there was a common denominator in that it was basically a replica of what we might call the patriarchal, okay, which just speaks to the extent in which this apparatus, this narcissistic apparatus of this particular point in the realm over the last 6,000 or 12,000 years or whatever it's been, the way it has infiltrated into all aspects of our being, whether we're in what we call a light work or a starseed circle or not. Okay, so I just say that not to take shots at anybody, but to put everything on the table, okay, and to understand that, we are seeing a lot of disparity. We're seeing a lot of contrast, much clearer. We're seeing things that aren't holding water for us because the truth frequency isn't there. That's not necessarily, and that's not what Bliss was doing. And Bliss was totally respectful. But in our own right, it's a very important part of our transformation is the diminishing of judgment and eventually the neutralization of judgment. And that is not just a possibility. That is the path that is in front of us because we can't take that into the higher band of frequencies that we call 5D plus. We just can't. And so there's been a lot of dialogue in my experience of, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. And why not? I just can't. Well, we're getting past the point now of the I just can't, because the soul's taken over. And it's through mediums such as this book and through emissaries such as our friend here that is making it more and more possible. So, and the last thing I would say is, I read some more of the book. It's a very quick read. It's the type of thing you can go back over and over, which is what I like about certain books, is to be able to go back and because if you ever watch a movie and then you go back and watch it the second time, it's always better the second time because you notice things you didn't notice the first time. For me, it always has been that way, and a book's the same way. And so, it's you can feel the energy of it. You can feel the innocence, the power of it, the truth of it. And it's got some very, very, good guidelines and direction for what we're all going through right now. So, I thought of those things as you were talking and felt like it would be something worthy to contribute. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're so welcome, Ted. So, so the general theme for today is our star origins, connecting with star energies. And I wanted to say, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about diet first. So there are our bodies naturally vibrate at a certain frequency, and if we are healthy, especially in our gut health is so important that if we're healthy, if we're eating nutrient dense food and we're eating not huge amounts and not a lot of junk, so food is either poison or it's medicine. There really isn't anything in between. And if you walk down the aisle in the supermarket, 95% of the things in the supermarket are poison. I mean, you can look at, there's chemicals in everything, and sugar and all kinds of oils, that kind of thing. And if you take those things in, your body cannot vibrate at you can't have a high vibration if you're eating those kinds of foods. And so I'm going to talk about three things that I have done over the years that have really helped me. Because if I hadn't done these three things, I would not have been able to write this book because my vibration wouldn't have been high enough. And the first thing is there's a guy on YouTube called Dr. Gundry, Gundry, and he has so many videos, and all the information he gives out is research. It's all research based, and he's lived it himself. He was a heart surgeon for like 25 years, and then he decided he wanted to help people not need heart surgery, so he took on this YouTube. He's got a huge YouTube channel, and I highly recommend that you go to him, and it's all free on YouTube. So just Dr. Gundry, and I would definitely listen to him and see if that resonates with you. If it doesn't, then just let it pass by. If it does, I think you'll find it very helpful. And the second thing is, it's called MCT oil. And MCT oil is I think it's caprylic acid. And so one of the things that Dr. Gundry talks about is ketones. So ketones in the body, especially in the gut, really give us a sense of ease, a sense of peace, and it increases, from personal experience, I can tell you, it increases our ability to connect with these interdimensional energies. I mean, it's so powerful. It's so amazing. And so that's the second thing I recommend. And you can get that on Amazon. And I'm actually going to tell you, I'm going to put this stuff on my website so that people can go to my website. And I'll have Todd put my website on. My website, Todd, is www.blissful.earth. Blissful.earth. I always put the www because if you just put .earth, people aren't sure what that really means. And then the third thing is inter um, fasting, intermittent fasting, is also creates the ketones, and that's why all religious orders, ancient ones, during their religious holidays had fasting, because fasting helps you connect with Creator, helps you connect with these interdimensional energies. So what I do is I eat breakfast at like 9 a.m. and then I go. I don't always do this religiously, but as much as I can. And then I go 6 hours, and then I eat about 3 p.m. And I just eat those two meals, and that gives me about 17 or 18 hours of fasting. And when I do that, I really notice a difference in how I feel. And I notice a difference in fear level. Like, you know how we feel fear all the time? Like, oh, we're going to have enough time. Am I going to be late for this? Am I going to have enough money for this? We're so in survival. And when you develop the ketones, when you create those ketones in your body, then you just naturally don't get fearful. It's so amazing how powerful those ketones are. So I just highly recommend that. And like I said, I'm going to post some of that on my website so that you can, and I'll have more detail about those things. Because like I said, I would not have been able to write this book if I hadn't been doing these things, because it has raised my vibration and allowed me to have the insights and the inspiration to connect with these energies. So yeah, so I just want to say that. So, and it's really important. I mean, I'm not saying that to criticize anyone. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you want to get the most benefit, the most bang for your buck, do this, and you will see I guarantee you, if you do these things, especially create the ketones, you will experience great benefit. You will. It's magical. It might take like 2 or 3 days before your body starts to respond to them, but your body will respond. It's made for that. So, okay. Oh, let's see. So I wanted to talk about. So we're going to talk about connecting with star beings, star consciousness, cosmic forces. So the experiencing these interdimension these well, each planet star has first they have I think they have basically 9 dimensions, probably more, but there's 9 dimensions, and the core is the first dimension. And the core of the planets are that's their consciousness, is the core. And the Earth's core has it was an iron core, a magnetic iron core, and now it's transforming into a solar core. Actually, the Earth is transforming into a solar being, and as it expands, the crust and the mantle of the Earth are breaking up. I mean, you can see it in all the maps with the Pacific Rim. That the Pacific Rim, all these volcanoes and earthquakes are happening. The Earth crust is breaking up. However, this will not. In the past, this could have been catastrophic, but now the cosmic forces and especially blue star consciousness is keeping that in check, not allowing anything catastrophic to happen. They don't want anything. They do not want to increase stress or fear levels on the planet, or create a catastrophe so that people can't connect with their hearts. Because if people are in fear about survival, then obviously they're not going to be connecting with their hearts. They're going to be worried about surviving. So nothing is going to happen. But it's the first dimensional energies of the planets and the stars that are sending this energy into the Earth, that are helping the Earth to manage all these changes and to manage her higher. She's moving into a higher vibration just like we are. In fact, proportionally, human beings and the earth are directly correlated as far as our vibration, that we're raising our vibration and she's raising her vibration. We're in unison with each other. I mean, that's how linked up we are with her. We are so linked to her. So so it's so important that, so when you get your vibration high enough, you're going to you're going to have like first time experiences where you experience star consciousness or these first dimensional energies in a potent and loving way. You will get that. It will come to you. But you see, you have to be able to receive. They're sending messages to you all the time already. Like Blue Star Consciousness is sending energies. Blue Star Consciousness is 3i Atlas, and it's sending creation codes onto the planet, not only to transform the planet, but to transform humanity. And creation codes are increasing our sovereignty so that we realize that we are sovereign beings and we are creator beings. We are so powerful creator beings. And a lot of us are already creating this high vibrational earth. We are creating the earth transforming, just as she's creating us. Again, we're in unison with her. So as you cultivate your sensory sensitivities and you open yourself to these cosmic forces, you will experience unique opportunities. These unique opportunities will present themselves to you, just like I had that unique opportunity in Sedona. I didn't go there expecting anything. I mean, that was like, talk about unique. I was in the middle of the night, I get woken up and it was like they were in my tent. I was in a tent. It's like they were in my tent talking to me. It was so strange. I'd never had that happen before. But I could feel their love. I mean,
that's the place to go if you want to have experiences like that. I can tell you just from the 12 trips I've had over there, many times I've been visited in the room I was staying in otherwise. It's chakra block full of, I call it interdimensional spaghetti bowl. You ever go into a city and they've got like all the freeways are connecting and they're all look like a big spaghetti bowl? That's what Sedona is like. Yeah, lovely place.
Yeah. And what they bring joy and gratitude to your heart. That's their gift. Joy, gratitude, and love. That's what they want. They want you to be able to be open and to receive it. And they radiate it. And when they find someone who's open, who's willing to learn this, who's willing to take it in, like they have with me, they just like jump on it. They just like constantly now on my land, it's like everywhere I go, I just get bombarded with these loving energies, and they tell me how precious I am. I mean, I've never even had a human being tell me I was precious to them. I mean, but they tell me this all the time, that they just so appreciate us and appreciate me. And so I'm just stressing that this is why it's so important that you develop the sensitivities, that you develop the heart coherence in order to connect with them.
That's and that's really what it comes down to, doesn't it? I think people get a little bit overwhelmed with the different directives that and instructions and so on. That sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, but really it absolutely comes down to the opening of your heart. I can give you a quick example. It happened to me last week. Since I talked to you, I was a week out of the seizures I had. It was followed up as the universe planned. I planned with Montezuma's revenge. I ate something bad, and I got a parasite. Okay. And so I've been dealing with that for a week, which has been really cool because I can see the energetics of it and I'm being cleaned out and it's all positive and good. Now, about 3 nights ago, as I was starting to realize something's not right here, I started to feel very, very uncomfortable, and my stomach got very warm, and I could tell that there was something going on there. So I walked out to the beach, and I put my hand up on one of my trees, and I started to look at the beach, and the stars joined in, the particular stars that I've been communing with for about a month. Some birds came by. My white bird showed up, and I was there with my feet in the sand, looking at Mother in the ocean, and I was fully present. And I said, I need some help. Please help me. I think we forget that they are there. They want to help, but there is a level of non-interference, and they're not going to necessarily step in unless we ask. And asking is a big part of self-love. So as I was making this appeal to what is external, it was also being made to me myself internally, in that beyond our human comprehension connection. Okay, so I was very, very uncomfortable. I thought I would throw up. I thought maybe I should go to the ER, for a minute. And then I heard, no, you don't need to do that. And so one by one, I made eye contact, you might say, with Sirius, with Orion's belt, with the other stars that were in planets that were involved, with the ocean, with the wind, with the tree, with the sand, and each one of these I had real present moment episodes with. And within about 25 minutes, I was fine. And not only was I fine, I probably could have ran a couple of wind sprints, but I walked home and I received some information. And I followed that information the next morning. I was told, go to the pharmacy and get some ivermectin, and that'll take care of it. And I said, oh, okay. So I had to, go to the computer and check check the intelligence that I received, even though I would have done it anyway. And sure enough, it said, this is one of the uses, and it'll work very quickly. So I got up the next day. I went to the pharmacy. I'm here in Mexico, at least for the time being. I'm now leaving on the 25th, which is another part of this whole story. But so I went in. I bought 4 capsules for $5 American. Came home. I took the dosage, which was 18 milligrams. And 24 hours later, my body responded with normal functioning that I hadn't had for over 2 weeks. So when you talk about the trees and what they have to offer and the other consciousnesses and what they have to offer, they are more than willing to do that. And I know I'm not the only one that has living proof in the very present right now. It's there, and it's been like this nonstop actually for 2 weeks. Even though I've had a multidimensional relationship with many of these consciousnesses over the years, something's really ramping up now. So I think it's a really good time to take in and digest this book and the things that you're talking about, because it's more applicable now for immediate results than ever before.
Yeah. And Todd, that's just the beginning. The tree spirits tell me that, I have this knowledge about the tree spirits and what they're capable of. And they're telling me, they're saying, this is just the beginning. They said, we have so much knowledge and wisdom that I can't even comprehend what they're capable of. I mean, that's how, like, that they can go swim with the whales. They can go fly with the butterflies. They can go do anything. They can go to other planets. I mean, they're so capable in their consciousness that, they're entered, I don't know what dimensions they reach to, but probably really higher dimensional beings, way beyond 5th or 6th or 7th, but probably way up in the, high teens, that they're able to function at those levels. It's pretty amazing that these trees are and that's why they're here on the planet. You know, they're part of the skin of the planet, and they're here for a definite purpose. And humanity is one of their purposes. How to help us. They're here to help us evolve, just like the crystalline consciousness is, and just like the earth is, and the elementals also. The elementals are so key to all life in the cosmos, in our cosmos. The elementals, the basic fire, air, water, and earth, they're so basic to all life in the in the cosmos, that we just kind of write it off. Oh, that's just dirt, or that's just air, but it's not. These are just incredible beings, these elemental beings. And again, it's about how do we connect with them, because most of us think of, oh, that's a stone, or that's just that's nothing, but everything has consciousness. And in order to connect with interdimensional beings, you have to realize that we are not superior in any way to these beings, and that they are, that everything is equal. Everything has consciousness, everything has intelligence, and everything is equal, and everything is part of the one. And that is so important, because if you go into this thinking, oh, if you walk through the forest and you think, oh, that's just a tree, or that's just a plant, or whatever, and I'm just here to, yeah, I appreciate their beauty, but
Perception,
they're not.
perception is reality, and that's what you're saying. I mean, and you're right. It's everywhere. And the trees. I told you this before. The trees will remind me sometimes as I'm walking by them, and they'll say, "Hey, get your head out of the mind games." And so much of the intelligence I've received in my own experience has been from what I would call the organic. It has been from the trees. It's been from the bayou near my house in Houston. It's been from the bushes, the grass. I can tell you real quick. I was in Sedona. One of the many times I was in Sedona, and I was in my friend's condo that I would rent, which is down in what they call Jack's Canyon in Village of Oak Creek. And so I'm laying in bed, and I heard, "You need to come outside." And I said, "I need to come outside." Who's talking to me? Because I knew it wasn't galactic, and it was a nature being. It was an elemental nature. I didn't really know exactly what it was. I knew it involved, something growing out of the ground probably. But so anyway, it's 2:00 in the morning, and I hear the call, and I got to go. So they said, so I went across the street into this canyon, and I heard, "Go up that hill, little mountain, little hill, and we'll be there waiting for you." And I said, "Okay." So I went up the hill, and actually took a friend with me that was staying with me. Well, I'm going to go with you. I just met the guy, and so I went up, and there were two trees that had a natural arch between them, and I could see the plasma in between the opening. And they said, "This is a portal, and walk through here." So I walked through there, went a little bit further, and there at the very top of the hill was a circle of cacti. And they were about 2 or 3 feet tall. And that's who called me. Those cactus called me to come up there with them so that they could give me something. And it was created, or it was executed, because I heard the call and I followed through. If I hadn't had followed through, even if I hadn't walked through the plasma portal, which my new friend saw and totally freaked him out. But yeah, we had an exchange, and it was information, and it was also nonverbal. But the information that could be verbalized was that they were a consciousness, just like psilocybin mushrooms. They didn't want me to eat them, but they just said, "We have eons and eons of wisdom, not just from this planet, but other planets. And in this moment, we're going to pass this on to you," or whatever the case was, because some of it was directed at what was going on at that time, at that particular time for me, in my efforts to serve, right? So it's as real as we believe it, and that's part of, as people talk about breaking out, and I don't know if that's the proper term, breaking out of the matrix or whatever, but it's right in front of us. And I've been told this by the elementals in the plant kingdom for several years. You're all looking out there, but it's actually right here, closest to you. This is part of the you might say the universal family as well, and we're right next to you in physical form, which should make it easier to see. And so I think that's a really good point what you said about seeking them and how we perceive them.
Yeah. And about seeking, what we seek is also seeking us. That's what's so beautiful about it. What we seek is seeking us. That we want that connection so badly. We don't even realize, Todd, how lonely we are. So lonely that we're so cut off from our hearts. And when we connect with them, that's why my heart is so much more expansive now than it was before I could connect with them. And it's like a loving relationship, like I have a loving relationship with Blue Star. I mean, just like it's always there for me. All I have to do is ask its energy to come into my body, and it comes, just like magic, So, yeah, so that's that opportunity. So I was going to ask if anyone has any. So we've been giving a lot of information and sharing, and it would be really important if people have comments to comment on, like your personal experience, or if you have a question about something. But a number of people sent me emails requesting the book, but they also gave me some information about themselves. And people have such beautiful things to share. And I told them, share this on the program, because when you share, from your heart, you're going to inspire someone else. And so Todd and I are sharing from our hearts, but all the people that are listening and watching, you have hearts as well. And it would benefit others if you share a little bit about your experience, if you could do that. So maybe people could type, because they can type that in, right, Todd? Is that
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few comments. I didn't want to put them up on the board. We haven't had any questions. One question was asked, but you answered it before I could even ask it. But yeah, some of the comments here, from Diane AG07X on YouTube. Thank you. Truth frequency is alive and well these days, instantly. Thank you for talking about this. Everyone has a different experience. Trust yourself with love. There's some references here to the same person, Diana G07X. The ebook was very nurturing. Thank you, Bliss. We also got right here, let's see, she also talks about how intermittent fasting is great for her. It works for her very well. Another person says sometimes they manage 24 hours of fasting. And then some references to what we're talking about here on most recent. Walking for me throughout my neighborhood is medicine. I love it so much and connect to all. I always called the trees the village people. Found God in the trees. Let's see. So there. Oh, here's a question. We have a question from the same sister. Thank you so much for these comments and questions. I have a question. How is the evolutionary process different than the one that happened in the 1960s? I'm very curious to know. Thank you.
Well, I think the 1960s were about expansion, maybe more mind expansion than heart expansion. But I think it played an important role. And, drugs, marijuana and LSD were a part of that, where people could experience not through meditation, but through through chemicals. They could expand. They could experience different realities. So I think it was really valuable, helpful for humanity to go through that, the the anti-war days. I mean, that was the first time we had demonstrations against the war. So there was an elevation of consciousness. Um, but it was just the beginning. That was just that maybe just kind of opened the door, and now and then it took 60 years um, for it to just keep opening. And now it's more about, now the whole cosmos are involved. The earth is the center of the cosmos. All the beings in the cosmos that are interdimensional are focused on the earth. And um and the and the 60s and 70s were just they just helped that get started. It was like a kickstart, and it's just kept going and going, and now it's like coming to this crescendo. So
I think there's
yeah.
a couple of other references too, and I don't have these down verbatim, but I can remember the generalities of them through doing the show. And this is very recent information. There's a lot of cycles. If you look at the movement of the celestial beings and such, and we know this, and there's two of them that come to mind. One of them is, and I'm not sure what the particular conjunction was or whatever the arrangement was in the stars, that occurred 60 years ago. It occurred literally about 60 years ago to the month, or so close. And so you have the same dynamics. It's like the spiral. You're going up the spiral, and instead of looping, and therefore hopefully we're not looping and hearing the same chatter over and over. We're breaking it up. We're moving up the spiral, and as you move up the spiral, you have the same things showing themselves in the environment, but you now have more maturity and more experience, and the thought being that you make a different decision. I've experienced this myself over the last 2 weeks with the personal intelligence I've received from particular stars and planets. The other one is that there was another cycle that was running about 20 years. And one of those started, or I don't want to say started, it occurred around 1967. And the next one was 1987, which was a harmonic convergence, all right? And then the next one was 2007, which was, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was right before the financial crisis. And then, of course, the next one is now. So, my take on it is just simply part of our evolution, and that's the word that she used. But it was also a time when the human consciousness was much more programmed and conditioned. And that's kind of ironic to say, to consider that many, many people put on masks without asking questions in 21 and 20 and 22. But at the time, the ability for the powerless powers that be to implement control mechanisms to include assassination and other forms of oppression or whatever the case is, shut down those movements very quickly, okay? Just as they did in 2007, 2008 when there was Occupy Wall Street. And many of those got shut down, just like they were shut down in the early parts of the 2020s in many countries in terms of the COVID pushback. But I do feel like what's going on now is many more people have broadened their awareness and accepted things and moved out of levels of cognitive dissonance. So I think the difference now in our evolution is there's many of us that are having experiences like Bliss has had. Many more are having those experiences. A lot of people talk about, one aspect. I don't think it's really probably going to serve us too well to fixate on one particular aspect of a multidimensional evolutionary process. And what I'm talking about specifically, like say, for instance, contact. A lot of a lot of the narrative and presentation of what contact is or what contact will be for a spaceship to land on the White House lawn and for the whole world to witness this coming together. I am from a different school of thought through my own experiences and those people that I've talked to in 4,500 shows over the years, and that is there's a lot of contact being made directly with people like Bliss, myself, and other people. Not just from the galactic family either. It's from other parts of the universal family to include the things that he's talking about today. Okay? And if you remember from last week, he talked about these different consciousness, such as trees, are interdimensional. Okay? And often we don't think of these organic things as interdimensional. We think of the galactics and the angelics and so on. So I feel like that we're in a different place now. We're ready now, and the difference is that people have spent more and more time coming to grips with their own traumas, with their own ancestral lineage, with the things that have basically kind of kept us or insulated us from the truth. And those layers are coming off now through mutual interaction and our self-introspection, and it's the path to a higher love for ourselves is a path to a greater communication with these external and universal family aspects that Bliss is talking about.
Yeah. Interfamily is that the Galactics often use that term, that they want us to realize that we're part of the galactic family. Well, whenever I say that, it brings tears to my eyes. That they want us so bad. I mean, they're just with, again, the love is just so tremendous. But so I have another tree story that I have. This was told by a friend of mine, Betty, and there's a Unity Church close to where I live, and then once a year, rather than having a minister, they have 3 people from the congregation stand up and tell a spiritual story about their life. And Betty stands up and she tells this story that so when she told this story, she was probably close to 80 years old, and she said that this had happened about 50 years prior, and when she was like in her mid-20s. And she had a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old son, and she was married. And her one day, her 5-year-old son just collapsed, and he was unconscious. They took him to the doctor. They took him to the hospital, and they did surgery, and he actually expired. He passed during surgery, and he didn't make it. So he had some kind of neurological disease. And of course, her and her husband were just devastated, and it actually ruined their marriage. It often does. It ruins a marriage oftentimes when you lose a child, because they can't deal with the feelings of the loss, and so they just withdraw. And that's what she and her husband did. They both withdrew inside themselves. And then one day, about after 4 or 5 weeks after the passing of Daniel was his name, after the passing of Daniel, about 5 weeks, she woke up and she was inspired to clean the house and to start living life again. And so she cleaned the house, and then she looked outside, and it was springtime, and there were flowers on this quince tree. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to go pick some flowers." So she goes out to the quince tree, and just as she was about to cut the blossoms, she thought, "Oh no, I'm not going to do to this quince tree what was done to me." And the quince tree started talking to her and said to her, "No, there is no death." They said, "No, cut our blossoms, cut our flowers. That's why we're here. We want to contribute. We want to give you beauty in your life right now because you've had so much pain." And Betty was just like, she'd never heard tree spirits talk before. She was just shocked. And she said, "Why she said, I've always just seen you as bark and leaves and branches, and now why am I seeing you as this, consciousness? And the quince tree said to her, it said, you, Betty, are when you came out here, you were so respectful of us that you saw us as a consciousness that you didn't want to do to us what was done to you. And when we first make contact with another being, how we see them determines how we're going to interrelate with them. So if a person comes out and they think, oh, that's just a tree, then you're not going to relate to that tree, like we were talking about earlier in our session today. And then while the tree was talking to Betty, Betty looked out and she said everything was shimmering. Every piece of grass, every fence post, every tree, everything, the birds, the sounds, everything was shimmering and it was alive. And she had never seen that before. And the tree spirit actually told me this later. But, and so, so Betty had that experience and she, and it said to her, you didn't lose your son. You lost your son because you're in pain about him leaving. But they said, your son has not left. He's here with you right now, and he needs your love. Rather than you being in pain that he's gone, his physical body is gone, he needs you to be in your heart and connect with him because he's ready to connect with you. That's what he wants. And so that really, it totally changed her whole view of her son's passing. So that was 50 years ago. And then while I was writing that story to put it in the book, that quince tree came to me 50 years later and told me more about Betty and her son. And it told me that Betty and her son had made an agreement before he came into his existence. They had an agreement that he was going to stay for 5 years, and they had always had tremendous relationships through their many lives. They've always been together many lifetimes, and they had this agreement that it was going to leave after 5 years, and that she would learn, just like she did, learn tremendously about that there is no loss. Like just because someone's physical body expires, that person's consciousness is still around you. If it's a family member, they don't go anywhere. They need you. They need your love, and they need your guidance to help orient them to their new existence. They don't need all this fear and anxiety about death. Seeing death as an end, because it isn't. It's just a transition period. And so, so they told me that it was such a beautiful. It was so great that it came 50 years later, and I'd never met this quince tree before. I didn't even know what a quince tree was until I went and looked it up, and saw how beautiful their blossoms are, and that. And the other thing it told me was, it inspired Betty to clean her house, and it inspired Betty to go out and cut the flowers. And so the tree knew exactly what she knew it needed. Gave her the time. It gave her like 4 or 5 weeks to do whatever she needed to do, and then it gave her the inspiration to change all of that. It was like looking out for her the whole time, probably for years. That tree was looking out for her, and knew that this was going to happen, and helped her family with it. So
yeah, that's powerful. That's a really powerful thing. I've had trees tell me the things that they've actually witnessed in the location where they're at. I've heard trees say a lot of things. Like I told you before, they've helped me heal my back, which still I go back now and then to get an alignment, like the chiropractor, what I was going to tell you too, I forgot, was when I went to the beach and I told you that I had that healing, the exact words that kicked it off were, once I took everything in, the trees said, "Don't you know how much we love you?" And then the rest of the participants told me the same thing. So I sat there laughing and crying, laughing mostly with tears, about how crazy this revelation and real this revelation is and was, you know. And the other thing I'll say too is, like, you know, when I first reawoke, I spent about 2 years, roughly about 2 years, 2.5 years, with one of my purposes that I was given was to work with people who had somebody pass. So the relative that had transitioned would come to me. A lot of them were children. And then I would contact the parents and, you know, and say, hey, you know, your kid, your daughter, your son contacted me and would like for me to convey a message to you. A big part of those messages was what you were saying earlier. It was stressing to the one that was still walking on the earth that they weren't gone, and they would normally give me information to tell them so they could prove that, you know, it wasn't a hoax. But to let them know that it was to everyone's best interest and benefit to let go of the concept of this loss. Because in some of the cases that I saw, the relative that had transitioned couldn't leave the earth plane because of their emotional bond and their concern for the loved one that had, you know, taken it as a loss and was grieving to the point where they were blocking, you know, basically blocking the universal relationship. So no, that's a really important, and, you know, and I would just say again, you know, the trees to me are the number one go-to, because, like I said, you know, for a lot of people, you know, that I've experienced over the years, and you know, what I try to do in my role, or what I've been guided to do, is to kind of like be a bridge and bring it to layman's terms, you might say. So there's a lot of comprehensive knowledge that's being put before us. Information is moving much faster. It can be a bit complicated, but you can always go outside and you can find a tree and you can put your hands on a tree. And I would encourage anyone to do that that's never done it, and give it 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I promise you that you're going to receive something. And again, the access is always an open heart. So imagine pouring your heart out to a living entity that is fully present with you, with knowledge that is eons and eons, and a network. So, you know, in other words, they are the perfect epitome of a beehive network. I often put my feet in the sand right next to the roots of the coconut trees, and I send messages throughout the earth using their network, because they're my brothers, you know. And I know it works, because I get enough people hitting me up saying, you came in my dream last night, or, you know, I'll get a coincidental, synchronistic message. You know, I had one yesterday. You know, I was out there thinking about a very dear friend of mine, hadn't spoken to in several months, and I came back to the house, and I sent her a message, and she said to me, "That's strange. I was just thinking about you today, thinking I should reach out to you." It's real, people.
Certainly is. Yeah, and even though they have so much more wisdom and knowledge than us, they don't see themselves as superior to us at all. They see themselves as just different, and that they're a different level of evolution, you know. And they want to help lift us up so that we can interact with them in that way, in a loving way, as equal participants, because we have so much to offer as well. We have so much knowledge and wisdom, and we are, especially those that are awakening now, all those watching your program and all those who are awakening, and that we're in the kind of the crest of the wave, that we're all ancient ones. We are so ancient, we're so old and have such incredible wisdom, star wisdom. We come from the stars, not just stardust. We come from the stars. We come from that star consciousness. So the first dimensional energy of the stars that are out there, we're identical to that. That's who we are. We're just in a different form for this lifetime to do the work on the planet. We volunteer to do this work on the planet, which is much more difficult than what they're doing. They have such a grand time.
That's another. We have another question too. That's another thing too that I experienced that I'd never experienced before. Particularly with these star systems that have been speaking to me, which went over the horizon about 2 nights ago, and that's when I knew it was time to go. They told me it's time to leave now. It was really strange because I watch the stars a lot, and I've never seen. I kept saying, "Why aren't you guys moving? You're here for a week. It's been several weeks now." And then that night, I actually watched it go beyond the horizon. So, but what they were telling me was, we are your grandfathers and grandmothers, your aunts and uncles. We are your relatives, and so we're both your history. If you look back, this is the path that you've blazed, but we're also in that paradoxical math of the universal. We're both. We're the drop in the water, and the drop in the ocean, and the ocean in the drop. So that's what they were telling me, and it was a powerful thing. And again, I think these things are happening. They must be happening. They're happening more and more to more and more people, because it can't just be one individual. As the individual goes, so goes a collective. We have a question from Christina Burton from Facebook. Thank you. We might have to get you to explain it a little bit more. I'm pretty sure I understand it, but I'm going to direct this to Bliss. Do you think everything is on Earth and we were all in domes? Do you need more explanation on that?
Yeah, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I would ask that you be a little bit more specific. I can speak to this a little bit just because of my own experience. When I first reawoke, I was, like a lot of people, given a lot of downloads, and I wrote, just legal pads after legal pads after legal pads. But one of the things, actually, I had an experience, and that's what set it off. I was called to a what I called a sanctuary in the middle of the night, and it was basically a park that was being built, and I had been drawn there. It was on the bayou where I was homeless, spent a lot of my time, and but I knew something was going to happen. It was a call, just like I talked before when the cactus called me up to the top of the mountain. So I went out to the parking lot in front of this park, and there was a soccer field between the parking lot and the park itself, where there was a pond and places you could walk and so on. So there was a very stiff wind, and I started to walk across the parking lot onto the soccer field in this very stiff wind. And I looked up, and there were these really kind of billowy clouds that were kind of moving at the same speed as the wind. They were moving pretty fast. It was very full. So as I started to walk across the soccer field, I noticed a illuminated circle on the surface of the soccer field in my lower peripheral. I didn't stop and look at it. I just could see there was like this circle of light. So I'm walking right into it, and as I walk into the circle of light, the wind stops. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I kept walking, and I put one foot outside of the circle, and the wind came back. So I put my other foot back in the circle, and the wind stopped, and I took a position. I knelt in the center of that circle, just not knowing what else to do. That felt right. And then I heard certain sounds and tones, and I see plasma, and I look up, and I'm kneeling in a dome, in a geomantic dome. And obviously I received information. I went on that night to have quite a few experiences. Now, when I started to write down the information, I was shown kind of like a flower of life kind of thing. But I was shown that each one of us was in a dome. And that when the domes intersect, we're merging, or like a Vesica Pisces, there are times that we intersect. And that there is an intersection, I guess would be a better way to put it. There is a connectivity, and that we share an intelligence and an experience and a beingness, right? So I don't know if that's what you were talking about. I've not heard anyone bring up that type of thing before. But somebody mentions the firmament. I'm not getting that that's what she was talking about. But that's the only thing I've been exposed to. Now, I did some research on this back in the day when this happened to me, and there is some stuff written down primarily in the Hermetic studies, okay, that talk about geomantic domes. And I think at the end of the day, for me, it's kind of a metaphoric explanation of our connectivity that's beyond like a 2D thing. Something that has more dimensions to it, where you can get a handle on. And the only way I could really say that is like, a Vesica Pisces, when you have two spheres and they start to come together and you have this common space. But that's the only thing that I've been exposed to, and I'm not sure if that answered her question. Let me just see if she followed up with it. No, I don't see it there. But, all right. Anybody else have any questions? We still got a little bit of time here. I don't know how this happens. Every time we get together, 90 minutes goes by like a hot knife through butter. There is a comment here from Leslie Shankman, 535, YouTube, thank you. And this goes back to the 20-year thing we were talking about, 67, 87, 2007. 2007 was a stellar year, stellar consciousness anchored. Was the year stellar consciousness anchored, and relative time loop put on Earth to allow memories of cosmic history as held in the stars to come forth year by year by year, and the shadow level for it to come to be cleared. So I hadn't seen anyone give a thorough explanation in 2007, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Actually, Leslie had sent me an email, and she has a website about the stellar nations you might want to check out. She has an organization that investigates that, and they have videos on there. So I'm glad. Thank you, Leslie, for tuning in. I'm glad you did today. So there's just so much wisdom. Again, so the knowledge that Leslie has isn't something she just gained. It's stuff she's remembering. That she's an ancient one. She's star consciousness, just like we all are, and she's remembering. And all of you might have memories triggered. That you'll get flashes of things, or maybe in your dreams or whatever. But it's so important to write them down and investigate them to see if you can bring up more memories. And the more you raise your vibration, the more heart coherence, the more you will remember. So, and then you'll bring in these unique experiences like I've had and like Todd has had, and you'll have your own unique experiences. And the more you can promote those, and that'll just keep increasing. It'll increase geometrically. I mean, there's so much that's going to happen. There's inner Earth beings are going to be coming onto the surface of the planet before too long. Galactic beings are going to be walking on the surface of the planet before too long. I mean, I don't know, you can't give a time frame, but they're ready, and the plan is getting ready for them to come. So we're getting closer and closer.
I have a question that came up earlier. For the sake of, again, breaking this down to make it more, where it could be more easily brought into people's consciousnesses, because we're all coming from a different place. And that is in the area of non-intervention. From what I can gather, it's a pretty sound, credible position that those aspects in our universal family of a higher, let's just say a higher consciousness, more mature state of being and awareness, recognize the evolutionary process and the necessity for non-interference. Okay? How does that play out with the things that are coming, or that are here and that are coming? And I'm talking about contact, I'm talking about visibility of universal family, and so on and so on. Is it time in the evolutionary process and the awareness and consciousness is such that we're ready for that? Is that really why this is happening now? For instance, with the question earlier of the 60s, and it didn't happen then. Would that be the explanation?
Yes, I believe so, Todd. Yeah, we're ready. They're ready for us. We're ready for the Earth is ready. The timing is, again, that's why 3i Atlas came in. That's why Blue Star came in on this craft, because it's helping us get more prepared. Without that, we wouldn't be where we are today. That happened in the beginning of July. It came in, and since July to today, was that 5 months later, it's been increasing the vibration of all the planets and the satellites in our solar system and all the inhabitants in our solar system, and that's why it's here. It's helping us get ready for this event. And again, the first culmination will be April 2027, just a year away. That will be something is going to happen. I mean, it'll be happening before then. Even like this coming week, it's the equinox. Spring equinox is coming up in a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, and that's, again, it's really, the equinox is about balance, and so something significant on the spiritual level is going to happen on that on the equinox this year. But I mean, it always does, but this year especially, because of the vibration of where we're at now, everything gets more and more intense, and the progress happens more and more. So we're ready for it. So thank you all for joining us today. What a great program today. Thank you so much for listening and for being here with Todd and I in your heart, and listening and responding to our hearts, and increasing the vibration of humanity and the planet. And this radiates out into the cosmos as well. The vibration we generate here, it goes beyond time and space, and it goes out into the cosmos. So
Right on to that.
okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Tell your friends, tell everybody. Same time next week, and bring your questions, and be sure and reach out. I put it in the comments in the live chat on YouTube, and I'll put it in the comments once we close this out, and I can go in and do that in a second. The PDF, the free PDF that you can get instantly, and also the information to send an email to Bliss so he can send you a hard copy wherever you are in the world. But make sure that you read all the information there and put your full address and everything that he's asking for, so he can make sure he gets it to you. Thank you, everybody, for your participation, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you later, brother. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.